Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.
New Extra Charge Hot and Iced Coffee from Dunkin' is made with 20% extra caffeine from green coffee extract, because we could all use a little extra this year. Whether that's an extra boost, some extra boldness, or the drive to go the extra mile, we're extra ready for whatever comes our way and extra excited to take it on. Let's get it done with a medium extra charged coffee from Dunkin' for $2 with 20% more caffeine. And pair it with snackable stuffed bagel minis for an added all-day boost. Order ahead on the Dunkin' app. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Limited time offer.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber. Signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Not applicable to PayPal Here transactions. Other fees may apply. Shop safe with PayPal.
Christopher Media. Let's make some noise. From Asthmacore Studios near Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, man.
It's the Weedsman Podcast.
I have no idea what's going on.
And now,
you have smoked yourself retarded.
here are the Weedsmen.
You want to get high?
It's 2:53. I'm Chris.
I'm Aaron. My mouth is really dry already.
I know, right?
Pause and drink.
The dual sip.
That's
good pod right there, people.
That's when you know you've been doing a podcast for going on 5 years together.
Yeah.
When you both take a drink at the same time to leave a dead space at the intro.
Well, that's what the music's there for. You know, you're the dulcet tones of the intro. Well, you hear us both swallow.
Did you get a look at the black hole this week?
No.
Are you aware of this? The photo they took of the black hole?
There's a picture of a black hole.
It's it's not a photograph. It's a composite image from like every telescope that like could see any wavelength, all pointed at one place, and then collating all that and translating all that data into something that they could make as an image.
Is this from the Soundgarden video?
It looks like, doesn't it? And so, it looks like a flaming bagel. It doesn't...
The flaming bagel.
Yeah.
It's a nickname for a butthole.
Which, honestly, I saw it.
Flaming bagel.
I'm not a scientist, and I go, that's it, right? I'm thinking, when I heard that they were working on this, working their way up to it, I'm thinking back to the picture that was taken of the Earth from space. That historic photo that changed the world's perspective of themselves when they saw an Earth floating in space, right? Mm-hmm. That we had never seen that before. We had looked at our world as being the whole world.
I mean, I guess from what we know about them, I guess that kind of makes sense.
And this picture. We're getting a look at something that is like millions and millions of light years away. I mean, stuff that even if we had light speed technology, we would never get to. It's on
like a black hole's a collapsed star, right?
Yeah.
So, from what we know about it, this makes sense. Like, if you could kind of make that look like something, I guess this kind of makes sense.
Right. Well, the fact that we see a pretty definite circle in the middle is something, definitely. And I guess what we're seeing in the ring around it is all the stuff that's being sucked into it. So, like I said, this is a composite. It's not like they snapped off a photo of that yellow butthole in the sky. This was, some of these are in frequencies that we can't even see. So, to a scientist, this thing is packed with information and fascinating. To the layperson, I think this is why we have the crisis that we do with science at the moment in modern society, not just American society. Because we can't have those.
That's
right?
it?
Scientific advancements used to be like, here's a picture of something. You couldn't do that before, right? I just stole your soul and put it on this daguerreotype. You can buy it for a pfennig. Or here's a car. It doesn't poop anything. At least not anything that you'll notice for a few decades. And, these are tactile things. Big advancements in science and technology are going to be so advanced that there's no reason for the common man to give a shit about any of that. It's a specialty.
I personally find it kind of fascinating because it's the first time I'm seeing it. Like, no shit.
Yeah.
I'm imagining everybody getting sucked into that thing, like in the video.
Yeah.
This is what would happen if the black hole came anywhere near the planet. See?
Right. But, and inevitably it's going to be blurry, right? You can't get... Because this is something that I think even if you were being sucked into it, you may not even see anything. It might not look any different than the black empty space around it.
Yeah.
Because the event horizon, even at the event horizon, the outer edges of it where things start to distort because of that high gravity, that gravity is so high it sucks in all the light, which is why it's called a black hole. And the fact that you can show a picture of it now, I mean, this is a decades old but well-believed theory that this thing exists, right? And we've had proof, we've had scientific proof that they exist only in the way that we can look at things around them. We know that it must be physically possible. We take the math that we know about celestial bodies and stars and what happens to them. Stephen Hawking was the one who came up with this theory that you would reach a point with nothing to stop it, and there is nothing to stop it. There's a certain point where the gravity overcomes the mass, right? The gravity holds the mass together, but at a certain point, everything's so condensed that the gravity acts on it so much that it compresses it into a singularity.
We'd be crushed.
And at that point, breaks the space-time continuum, basically.
Yeah, we wouldn't be sucked in. We'd be crushed.
You would be strung out into a thin spaghetti noodle before you were ever crushed in the epicenter. While traveling over that fuzzy bagel part of the event horizon, you would probably compress to 2 dimensions and then be extruded almost, like through a Play-Doh fun factory.
Ow.
And I don't know you could possibly be conscious for that. You could not. I would imagine that being that you would have nothing to relate to it and nothing therefore to prepare you for it, that your mind would probably shut down. You would not remember that, even if you were then to be, soon crushed afterwards. You would definitely. Well, actually, we don't know that you're crushed. We assume that you're crushed and that all that matter is crushed. But what do we also know? Matter cannot be it can't be destroyed. It can only be transferred, right? It can change state, or it can be made into other things. But the basic building blocks of matter can't just disappear. So maybe all that shit that's why the wormhole theory is, because, well, that's got to go somewhere, right? Although we do see with different types of imaging that is not visual, they've actually tracked not only the event horizon, which is kind of the donut shape, but these kind of spirals of or these pillars of matter that are like ejected from either side of it. But that could just be material that's being spun off the event horizon. There's nothing to say that it's actually coming out of the black hole itself.
Also, I'm very high right now.
It's 55 million light years away and 100 billion kilometers wide.
It's a long fucking way away, man.
Larger than the entire solar system and 6.5 billion times the mass of our sun. So it would have to take a supermassive star to do this. Our sun is never going to be a black hole. It does not have the mass. Unless it actually was able to collide, probably multiple times, in just the right way with multiple other suns. But I don't think that's how big stars are created. It can happen, but usually you just get some sort of just destruction that way. Or one sun will rob the other of its energy.
Beating suns. That's pretty baller. Sunballer. Energy baller.
The Guardian says, through creating an image of the black hole, something previously thought to be impossible, the EHT project has made a breakthrough in the understanding of black holes, whose existence has long been difficult to prove. The image will help physicists to better understand how black holes work, and images of the event horizon are particularly important for testing the theory of general relativity. So the thing is artificially colored in order to have an image that we can look at and see as something. But what's important to understand is that...
So they gave colors to the different forms of energy coming off this thing?
Matter, really. So it probably tells them something about how that matter, is different matter affected differently when it passes through the event horizon. They probably can tell that.
In a theory, this is a shit getting all fucked up around this thing. Plainly speaking.
They might find something like any kind of solid matter gets sucked in, but gaseous matter actually swirls around in the event horizon, and that's what's coming out the spirals on either side. That's the little bit of matter that's ejected from the event horizon before it gets sucked into the center. So that could tell you. I mean, that's just...
So it's shit after it gets fucked up.
Yeah.
So it's before they're going, ah! It's afterwards.
Yeah, once you reach that central black part, though, there doesn't seem to be a lot of information in there. Well, actually...
You look like the guy in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Information cannot exist there. Any type of information, even the information that holds cellular bonds together, is broken down. And all of physics breaks down at that central point.
So who was it? George Clooney? He'd be done. He's still floating around out there. That's what happened at the end of Gravity, right? Sandra Bullock made it back. He died. He stayed out there.
I think... Yeah, I mean...
Spoiler alert.
Maybe he
got... 5-year-old movie.
I haven't seen the movie, but maybe he gets sucked into a black hole and dies. Maybe he gets stretched out into spaghetti. Or maybe he gets spit back out into an alternate universe where he never made gravity.
Okay, Morpheus.
Right. And he met a dude in sunglasses. Like, you can take the blue pill.
The red pill.
You can stay here in the black hole and I can teach you everything.
What's the name of my ship? The Black Hole.
Which one's supposedly the good pill again?
I
don't know. People take that shit way too seriously.
Yeah, because didn't they start assigning political ideologies to it? Here you go. Morpheus will explain it to us.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe.
Oh, that's the one. That's the one that sends you back home.
The red pill.
The blue pill
Stay in Wonderland.
Is the lie to yourself.
And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Yeah, so the blue pill you lie to. The blue pill you lie to yourself.
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Alex Jones offers you the red pill.
I'm not a big fan of the movie in general, but I don't deny its major thesis, which is that, that in an age of information, people have to be willfully ignorant in order to just accept everything that's given to them by society.
Oh, yeah.
And to just reject everything that is outside of that, just out of principle, in order to acclimate, to normalize, to whatever, to fit in. And that's ultimately the message there is Neo, he's got to decide, is he going to just be a sheep or is he going to be himself?
I wonder how many conservative talk shows start with that opening.
But to apply this to politics is faulty because this applies to human nature. This doesn't apply to Democrats' thinking.
Correct.
Right. If you say to me, well, you want to believe that these people are on your side for these issues of free health care and all that, but they're just going to screw you like everybody else is. I would say, you may be true. If I'm a fool to fight that everywhere because you see it everywhere. There is corruption and the system is not perfect. But if you think that more accurately describes Democrats than Republicans, then we can't start from a place of honest discussion, obviously.
Yeah, because you're insane.
Well, there doesn't seem to be any controversy over the Hellboy movie. That's getting rather poorly reviewed, and not a lot of people are out there supporting it.
There's been a protest say, why aren't we calling it Hell Person?
I'm sure if I really dug, I would find something like that. There's always somebody that comes out of the woodwork and sees this as an opportunity to push Christianity to kids because...
I was thinking more why we're forcing gender on Hellboy. Let him be Hell Person. Let him decide if he wants to be Hellboy or Hellgirl.
I think they did. They show a little shot of his origin again, but
they.
Yeah. I think it's getting unfairly reviewed, honestly. I quite enjoyed it. I went to see it.
I know you were afraid it was going to be awful.
Well, it's because of how much they were putting out there in the previews. That 2 weeks before it, we saw him popping out of a hole in the ground with a fiery crown and flaming sword and full horns. And that was like the big moment in the movie. That was the oh shit. And they used that to sell the movie instead of tease it like they should have. But this movie did not have a big budget, obviously. Well, it had a decent enough budget to do a good action film with a lot of practical effects and digital effects. But it didn't have Marvel money behind it. I think that they did great with what they had. It was unfortunate that the movie has its faults. I'm not saying that this is like a totally great movie. And
Ron Perlman retired from the character.
I like Ron Perlman, but I didn't like that version of, and I like Guillermo del Toro, but I didn't like that version of Hellboy so much. And I wanted to see what the type of Hellboy that David Harbour seemed to be going for. I think they swung a little bit too far the other way with the gritty and the gore. You know, this is an R-rated movie. There's a lot of, I guess I could skip right to this. The other thing that was wrong with it was the soundtrack sucked. The soundtrack is just horrible. It's all over the place. Some of it's dubsteppy like this. Some of it's orchestral.
Like Skrillex and Dude Rock fucked.
And then in some of it's just like the most bland white dude rock and roll music that they can't transition through. It's like, what? Have you ever seen Supernatural?
No.
Yeah, I don't recommend it because it's not a great show, but it's fine enough for what it is. It's entertaining. It's got a nice cast. But it leans a little too much on like clever editing and soundtrack to make things look really snazzy. And that's not a Band-Aid for, don't look at our low budget. It's not low budget, but like the green screening was bad.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where he fights the giants and it just looks like he's floating over everything. And part of that is we're spoiled, but also the other side of that is that to do those scenes right now and fool people, that's millions and millions of dollars. I think they spent their money wisely on a cast that came together well. I feel like they were maybe rushed for time. They could have got a couple more takes, especially on strangely enough, what's his name? Ian McShane?
Sure.
I almost said Shane McIan. The guy who plays Hellboy's dad with the beard.
Ian McShane?
Ian McShane. You don't know that dude?
I do not.
He's got a great voice. And they wisely use that voice for the voiceover at the beginning of the movie. But he sounds like me, like after I've had 3 joints and I bit the side of my tongue, which is kind of like how I sound now. But he seems to lean into it. So he's like, Nimue. I kept thinking about Orson Welles drunk doing the ad. So you get this opening monologue from him, setting the scene for the movie, and he's like mealy-mouthed. And I don't know. I mean, I think that's where, for me, effects can be forgiven. Not every movie is going to be huge budget.
102, take 1.
And especially if you want to see more original movies, they're not always going to be big budget. If you that look on his fucking face, he's just fucking side-eyeing. The actor's like, is something going to happen?
No, sorry, cut. Yeah, rolling. 102, take 2.
Other people pose next to him like mannequins.
Has always been celebrated for its excellence.
This
is California.
This is what Ian McShane sounded like at the beginning of Hellboy.
Inspired by that same...
Which Nimoy was decapitated and split into 5 pieces and buried in separate boxes all over. King Arthur, Merlin, chopped your head off.
The French have been celebrating its excellence. There is a California champagne by Paul Masson, inspired by the same French excellence.
Okay, so now that I've nitpicked the movie, though, but I kind of wanted to get a lot of the criticism out of the way and accept that, yes, it has a poor soundtrack. It's ham-handed at some points. The effects aren't perfect. But other than that, I think you have a solid story. I think you have a really good cast, and I thought it was really enjoyable. It was violent. It was well-paced. It could have used a little bit of the softness of the Guillermo del Toro version of the Hellboy. Like, just have him pick up a kitten or eat a Snickers. That's really all you need to do. Say hi to a kitten or eat a candy bar.
They're going too much for the action movie money.
And he was kind of a petulant brat, really. And it's really not clear how old Hellboy is supposed to be. He makes reference to he gets a gun from his father, and then later makes reference to getting a gun for his 10th birthday from his father. And it's unclear if it's the same gun that you just saw him get, and that you're to understand that he's 10 years old. Which, given that he's half demon, he could, but given his personality, that could be it. He actually he seems like a 16 or 17-year-old. Mm-hmm. And he's rebellious, and he swears, and he's got, his stupid one-liners when he fights these big monsters, and he's cocky. And I think David Harbour plays that really well. But that's one side that we see of Hellboy, and the Guillermo del Toro version is another side that we've seen from the comics. I just want them to coexist, because that's part of what makes that character whole, is that you have both those sides. You have somebody who can face off huge monsters and take them down and still have breath for a witty one-liner and not lose your cigar or what have you, and still be a big softy at the end of the day, too. He cares about the people around him like anyone. He wants to fall in love, and he wants to have a life, right? So that's a big part of it, that he's trying to fit in. And that makes sense with the character that's in this movie, that of course he's going to be rebellious because he doesn't fit in and he can't fit in. And he does point that out. So I guess maybe there wasn't enough pathos in there, where it was a little too much punchy.
That's going for that action movie audience.
Well, it's this type of stuff that, like, if you're doing a Batman movie and you don't do that, then you're doing the character a disservice. Like, we have to, if you don't at least show his parents being gunned down and the pearls being yanked from the neck, you at least have to, like,
tear on the chin.
It has to be alluded to at some point, right? You have to establish that as this character. And that's part of Hellboy's character. He didn't lose his parents. He grew up without any parents, and some old, weird, paranormal investigator scientist dude for a dad who tried his best.
It sounds strange.
It's a fun movie. It is actually just a fun movie. It's kind of like Venom in the way where, like, it's a little all over the place. Venom has its own failings kind of on the other side in the script and the acting, I think.
And Avengers this weekend? Or is it next weekend?
Avengers is coming up, yeah.
Oh, they're doing it on the 420 weekend?
Yes.
Good call, Avengers.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber. Signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Not applicable to PayPal Here transactions. Other fees may apply. Shop safe with PayPal.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Is that Shakespeare?
Nope, it's Geico.
Yeah, that's Shakespeare from one of his unpublished works. Oh, it be not for awakening. Nay, giveth thou the berries. For 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
No, it's from Geico, 'cause they help save people money.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but Geico got it from Shakespeare.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
So, hey, there's I see there's a cat there on your...
Yeah,
on
apparently
your
4 years ago I posted a picture of the cat.
That's right. Well, I don't know if you want to lead with that on your Facebook page right now, because, especially not in light of this recent study that cites that, according to a social survey, cat people are more miserable than dog people.
What?
Dog people are happier. Dog versus cat. For the first time, social survey measures owners' happiness and finds stunning difference. The general social survey, for the first time, included a battery of questions on pet ownership. Not only quantified the nation's pet population, nearly 6 in 10 households have at least one, made it possible to see how pet ownership overlaps with all sorts of factors of interest to social scientists, like happiness. So, let's see. Dog owners are about twice as likely as cat owners to say they're very happy, with people owning both falling somewhere in between.
Does this mean dog owners lie? They're twice as likely to say they're happy.
They're lying to themselves.
They say they are happy.
Here's the thing. Dog owners took the blue pill, and the cat owners took the red pill, right? Dog owners, they look at their dog's stupid face and they go, he thinks he's people, he knows his name, he loves me, right? With a W. You're fucking lying to yourself. You've tamed an animal and trained it that I'm going to give you a place to sleep and stuff to eat the rest of your fucking life. He
goes with who gives him the food.
And the dogs, for generation after generation, are like, like they're fine with that. That's a symbiotic relationship. Let's just not lie to each other and call it love. Right? And sure, there's occasional lassie here and there that rescues somebody, but most dogs, you are stuck in a pit with them with no food or water. I give it a week before they chew your face off.
Well, to be
and
fair,
if you die, then you're fair game.
The cat will eat your face if you die.
Yes, but cat owners don't lie to themselves. They've taken the red pill. See? If you want to be a cat owner, then take the red pill, and I'll show you everything. The truth is, not only that the cats don't give a fuck about you, nobody gives a fuck about you.
Oh.
You're just an individual person on a planet packed with billions and billions of people and getting more and more populated every day.
This music seems highly inappropriate for this
every
conversation.
person that's born. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's two more. That about 3 or 4 since we've started this sentence. You get less and less significant. And that is what the cat is there to remind you of. You have to accept it and embrace it. You can't just push it away and ignore it like a dog owner. Have dogs, that's fine.
You're getting esoteric.
I'm telling you. So,
what kind of weed is this?
So this is my case for cat owners. When they ask these people, how happy are you? And are you a dog owner? The dog owners are like, I'm very happy. When I come home, my dog's so happy to see me, and I'm like happy for him right back, and that makes me happy. And I'm for that. Like, I'm not saying that's a fake relationship, but if you need that, like somebody needs religion to get through life, that's fine. But I think it's a richer experience when you know how fragile and fleeting a human life is.
We're going for Peabody Award this week, everybody.
Also, okay, as long as I'm going after dog people, let me say this. Here, people start to look like their pets. Look at these dog owners and their pets are starting to look like each other. And I'm like, no. You're a dog owner. You're fucking self-centered. You picked the dog that looks the most like you. Okay. You did that.
All right. I have to bring this up because we're staring in this territory now.
Right. We don't have that option. Nobody looks at a cat and says, oh, he looks just like you. Look at that face.
She says it's not catty.
Unless you constantly look dead-eyed and then lick your own butthole. Nobody's going, your cat looks just like you.
My wife claims this is not catty. It's because it makes her sad. She says she cannot watch anything with Olivia Wilde in it because it looks like an old Shih Tzu she had. She tried to show me a bunch of pictures of her. I'm like, I don't see a Shih Tzu. You apparently think this is an accurate statement.
I know exactly what she's talking about, too. And I think that nails what I've always had this problem with her. Like, she's annoyed me in this way where I'm like, why would I be so mad at her? I mean, she's a beautiful woman and all that. But, yeah, I had a friend. All Shih Tzus are assholes. Have you ever known a Shih Tzu?
Mom has a Shih Tzu.
Just for fucking
my mom
forget
and my
about
sister
it.
Both have a Shih Tzu.
The only time they're worth a shit is when they're too old to get off the fucking couch. And you're like, that's fine. As long as you... And then still they'll probably snap at strangers. They are a dog that needs to be trained, and people are like, they're just lap dogs. You don't have to do anything with them, right?
Oh, my mom's Shih Tzu is an asshole. He's 10 months old.
They are all.
Holy shit.
They're all assholes. They need a lot of training to be...
My mom is trying to give this dog CBD to chill it the fuck out.
Here's another thing about cats versus dogs. Cats do not require a lot of training. Cats require that you adapt to their lifestyle in order to accept them into your home. Dog owners don't do that or can't do that in a lot of ways. So the replacement is training. And when you don't train your dog, you're actually making your dog stressed out. You're making him uncomfortable. The reason
you're making life harder for them, just like when you make a shitty person.
Right. You're making life harder for them. Dogs have, they are pack animals in the wild, right? In these groups. They form an attachment to a group of dogs. Cats are, not all cats are pack animals. And those that are tend to be based on one-to-one relationships of like, I fucked this guy, these are our kids, and this is one of my other kids that's from our litter, and she gets to hang around because she's not posing as competition right now to the guy that gave me these cubs. Mm-hmm. And you can have packs, but they're not huge. You don't get these roaming packs of lions. You have, at their biggest are like a dozen, 15 maybe. Mm-hmm. Those are considered large groups. And that can happen when you have enough one-to-one relationships of like, I know this person and they're going to have my back, and I know this other person and they're going to have my back. And everything kind of branches out that way, like 6 degrees of separation. Where dogs are like,
cats
I want to be...
Dogs have formed gangs.
Dogs are like penguins. Like, let's just mass together. Like, power in numbers. Yeah, dog people are pack animals. That's what I'm saying. Cat people understand. Like, I have a relationship with my cat in that I keep him fed and he doesn't fuck with me either, I'm here for warmth and pets when they want it, and when they want to do their own thing, they're going to make it known. That's fine with me. So dog people, in other words, are slightly happier than those without any pets. Those in the cat camp, on the other hand, are significantly less happy than the petless. So according to this, it's worse to own a cat. You're likely to be less happy if you're a cat owner than if you didn't own any pet at all.
Wow. They're like, cats suck so bad. Right. You'd be better off with no pet.
Well, you know how you solve debates like this, though? And I don't think they dug this far down. But all you have to do is start looking into the lizard people. That'll unite both dog and cat owners quickly. Like, nah, fuck that. Right?
Yeah, we all agree lizard owners are weird.
Right. I like lizard and spiders and tarantulas and stuff like that. Like, look, my dog or cat goes nuts.
Lead singer of my old band was a lizard guy.
You know, if it really came down to it, if I thought I was in danger of my own pet, it was a kick to the fucking ribs.
What was the name of his lizard? God damn it.
But something that's going to poison me in the night and cocoon me or like swallow me whole if I pass out. An animal that you can't trust to not eat you if you just pass out drunk.
Get a bearded dragon. I can't remember what his fucking name was.
Say what you want about cats, but none of them have tried to eat me just when I passed out after drinking too much Jaeger.
Yeah.
Yeah, but hey, you can't argue with statistics. And I'm not arguing with the statistics. I'm arguing against how they're being translated. And I honestly do think that dog people lie to themselves more than cat people do.
Stop lying to yourself, dog people.
Cat people may not be admitting to being happier, but we also, I think, understand that happiness isn't necessarily some ultimate goal. It's a nice state to be in, but it is nothing that drives anybody. It's, you know, there's bigger things that drive a person and that give meaning to existence. And happiness isn't it. Like, people want to be comfortable. They think that happiness is like something to be achieved in that way, like get money, get stuff, and be happy. And I'm all for get money and get stuff, but I'm going to be happy all the way. And if I don't get as much money and stuff as I thought thought I should get, that's not going to make me less happy. It might make me. It'll change my behavior maybe in other ways that I think would be advantageous to me getting the stuff and the money that I want or need. Happiness is like a parallel path, right?
Yes.
That's something to want to achieve at the same time that you're achieving anything else in life. It's not like when people say, well, you know, we want to have kids but we're waiting for the right time. Well, the right time is when you know that you found the right person. It's not about any kind of situation. Those are you can achieve those things in parallel paths. You don't have to do, I'm going to have my career set and then I'm going to have kids. You know what? It's going to be more expensive than you thought either way, right? You have kids when you have fucking no money, you make do. Mm-hmm. You find a way to make enough money to get the diapers and the baby food, and you do all that because this person depends on you. It just happens. It has to happen. When you have a lot of money and you have kids, you just throw everything at them. And it ends up being, like, relatively speaking, just as expensive and just as taxing on your bank account. Having kids who now expect even more stuff and to like have more expensive shit. So there never is a right time. How did we get on this? Why am I talking about kids? I thought we were talking about cat people and dog people. I wonder how that breaks down about how do cat people have more kids or less kids? Might have to get on to the raw data on that. I don't think that applies to this article that I'm reading. Oh, they do end in a comment from Ernest Hemingway. He says, right, comment. Like, hey, Ernest, we got this story that's going to run on the Oregon line.
What's your hot take?
Right? Can you break away for your afternoon with Satan right now? Frying in hell?
Yeah. Go now live to Ernest Hemingway.
No, Ernest Hemingway put it, a cat has absolute emotional honesty. Human beings, for one reason or another, may hide their feelings, but a cat does not. So did you know that Guam legalized? I think this is something.
Saw that.
This is something that I think we talked about pre-show last week, and I never really got to. For what it's worth, I mean, that doesn't. It's not even. What is Guam? Is it a territory?
It's a U.S. territory.
It's a U.S. territory. Did you know that it's not covered under the Constitution? They're not officially. They are offered the same protections that we offer American citizens, but there's no constitutional right to them. So, I guess out of habit in general, we handle them like they're citizens. But I don't know what that means. But yeah, Guam is.
That's what you get when you type Guam into Google Music.
Is it? You get.
This is Guam remastered by Bass Wolf.
Is there going to be some chanting or something in here? Yeah, I didn't really have a lot to say. That's probably why it didn't come up last week, but I thought I'd at least mention that. For what it's worth, those maybe who are listening in Guam, they probably already know this. They're like, yeah, no shit.
They decriminalized cannabis use, correct? Adult cannabis use?
Well, the Seattle Times says they legalized recreational use of marijuana.
Oh, wow.
Although there were parts of the contiguous United States that did, including, we had mentioned this last week, New Mexico was considering it. They've gone forward with decriminalizing cannabis, being now the 24th state to decriminalize cannabis.
Dominoes are falling, everybody.
Individuals caught with less than half an ounce of cannabis will face a $50 fine. So it's like getting a traffic ticket, right? Instead of a jail or prison time, reduced penalties for being caught with drug paraphernalia will also go into effect. New law pertaining to cannabis reform goes into effect on July 1st of this year. So it's a step in the right direction. Obviously, we'd like to see no fines for it at all, to it not be treated like it was. Well, decriminalization, while that means something in legal terms as far as the difference between a misdemeanor and a crime, right? But it doesn't really mean anything to society. You're still kind of you're criminalizing the behavior by having fines for possession.
Yeah.
In the same way that you're criminalizing not wearing a seatbelt. It's the same thing. And that's the criminalization of seatbelts has worked. Not only is everything in our cars now built around you better buckle up. If you don't, people are like, okay, Charles Bronson, like, what do you got to prove? Why don't you put your seatbelt on? People look at you like you're an idiot or something.
Seatbelt on, tough guy.
Right? You might as well be smoking in the vehicle as well.
Blowing it in an infant's face.
Right. With a baby.
While your dog gets secondhand smoke.
You're wearing your kid on a baby Bjorn strapped to your chest while you're driving. smoking a cigarette.
Blowing it in the baby's face.
With the window up.
Yeah. What's wrong, Junior? You don't like Marlboros?
So yeah, decriminalization is great, but it still is treating it like criminal behavior. It's saying, well, I guess it's not that bad of a crime.
We still don't want you to have it.
But this is New Mexico. Our Attorney General, the man who's going to...
Top cop, Mr. Barr.
The top cop, the man in charge of blacking out nitty-gritty parts of the Mueller report.
What's he going to do?
Well, he also... he wasn't the only one. I was going to say the only one in Trump's cabinet. The Attorney General isn't really in the president's cabinet. But I think you could argue that this Attorney General may as well be in Trump's cabinet. It's supposed to be an institution that is separate from the president.
There's a lot of things that are supposed to be happening with this presidency.
Because of things like what is happening now where we need to investigate said president. But Steve Mnuchin... Think of him what you will. He said on Tuesday to take a look at the banking bill that is currently working its way through Congress.
John Oliver's doppelganger.
Oh, yeah.
He always calls him a very sexy man. He's like, look at him.
It's undeniable. he's never said, look, this guy looks just like me. He just always goes, just look at him. That man is undeniably sexy.
But Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary, an objectively good-looking man, argues...
I think that's the first one that he did.
Now, I know it was hard to pay attention to what he was saying because you were just automatically undressing the guy with your eyes. You do it whenever he opens his mouth. Am I right? I'm definitely right. The guy's a California 10. He's a smoke show. But he's not drained the swamp even one little bit.
This is a whole different
has
clip.
included many swamp creatures from these two Goldman Sachs veterans working on tax policy, Gary Cohn and certified handful of man candy, Steve Mnuchin. Cohn reported over the proposed tariffs, and Steve Mnuchin, Treasury Secretary and white-hot sex bomb. Oh, I get it. It's not a war, it's a dispute. You know what? I almost bought that bullshit because I was so distracted by this lava-rich sex volcano's looks. Hypnotic. I must have a bad case of the Mnuchins right now because he's looking like an absolute snack. So...
I love, of course, somebody made a supercut of that. He said, I'm not going to make a comment on what the policy should be. There is a problem there. There is a problem that there is a conflict between the federal law and the state law. Yeah, we know that.
Duh.
So he's going to be reviewing the Secure and Fair Enforcement, which is the SAFE Act. And so it was the States Act and the SAFE Act. That's why I think I had confused them initially.
So he's actually looking into changing the law?
Well, this part of the SAFE Act is the one that gives protections to banks and basically says that if you want to deal with states that are legalizing marijuana, we will do so without risk of anything, of, investigation by the DEA or the FBI. Mm-hmm. We're not going to seize your funds and be like, why are you dealing in illegal drugs?
It's a lot different tune on cannabis than at the beginning of the administration. But then again, Barr is not Jeffy.
Well, I think actually if Mnuchin has anything to do with this sounds like the first time that we've seen any actual action from the administration. Prior to this, it's been all talk and really just hands off. Outside of probably appointing a DEA chief, that's probably as close to Donald Trump having a stance on any of this that he's actually, that's not just hot air. So that's the SAFE Act, the banking bill. The other one was the States Act that basically looks to solidify in the law states' rights to legalize marijuana and not be punished by the federal government for that. It's basically, and it's interpreting the 10th Amendment and strengthening those parts that we feel applies to things like marijuana.
Did that get further?
And as much, it hasn't progressed any, but it is, in as much that it still seems very viable. Absolutely. Attorney General William Barr, I should say, Attorney General and puppet of a puppet.
Let's hear him out.
William Barr said on Wednesday that the Justice Department is already looking into strengthening the 10th Amendment through entrusting states. That's the full title of the States Act.
I mean, again, he's supporting this. Remember the guy before him, Jefferson Beauregard. It's a lot different, singing a lot different tune than he was.
That's a very good point, sir.
So I'm saying, hear him out.
He did not say
he'd be a puppet of a puppet, but let him do this.
Well, it's not. He didn't say it's evil.
Let him knock this off.
Let's see. The bill is being, according to the Marijuana Moment, has a story on this, says the bill is being circulated through the department, quote, for comment. And Barr told Senator Lisa Murkowski during a hearing that after the feedback is submitted, we'll be able to work with you on any concerns about the state's law. Adding, he would much rather that approach, the approach taken by the States Act, than where we currently are. So, the Attorney General, it doesn't look like they fully reviewed it, but that seems more like a formality in order to maybe add some language to it that the Attorney General would like to see. I don't know if that's...
Pork.
Or something. Pork or some sort of personal protection.
Yeah. Problem. Pork can sometimes be the most horrible, horrendous shit that can get something killed.
Right. Like the only...
We want to add to this that you have to kill every 10th black baby born. No, and then that's it for the States Act.
Right. Yeah, that's another thing that I think people don't realize. Some of it is, if you're going to get my vote on this issue, you're going to do something for me. And some of it is, if I can get this in there, I can get enough people to vote it down to sink something that I think shouldn't be passed.
Yeah. We're to include in the States Act $200 billion for the wall. And it's toast.
Yeah, so the States Act would give protection to the states individually and give protection to the businesses operating therein from being prosecuted by the DEA or the FBI for...
The feds can't come kicking your door down.
Yeah.
If you run a dispensary.
They still would have to have alternate methods of banking, have to have a lot of cash on hand, not only because they're accepting it only in cash, their payments, but all of their payout then has to be with cash.
Do you think it's a coincidence that they're trying to push the safe and the states through at the same time?
Yeah, they kind of have to go hand in hand. I mean, again, I don't want to retread everything that we went over last week, but if you just combine these two, I think you just have taking it off of Schedule 1 completely. That solves all of this, right? The federal... That's the only place in the federal law where marijuana is mentioned, is in the classification of drugs. If you remove it from that list, it's gone from all the laws. Overnight, the DEA, the FBI,
bye-bye.
They cannot prosecute. The government then and the banks have no problem handling money from your business without worrying about what the IRS is going to be thinking or what any other government police organization is going to be thinking. But, this might be all that we get for a long time. If we get both the SAFE Act and the States Act.
It's not nothing.
This allows Colorado to operate freely and safely. It allows California, Michigan, anywhere that wants it, has their business not being threatened or tampered with by the federal government, and neither being unduly punished by the federal government when it comes to taxation either. And then in those states like Alabama, New Mexico, they can have it their way.
Like fucking Burger King.
That's right. That's better. I was thinking Backstreet Boys.
Oh.
But your way is better. Yeah, I like your...
They wanted it that way.
That's right.
They didn't want it their way. They wanted it that way, sir.
They wanted it that way, but they never told us what that way was. I always took it as up the butt.
Yeah, so say the gay way.
Right. Not that I took it up the butt. Never mind.
Yes. The Backstreet Boys are gay. We all get it.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber, signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Not applicable to PayPal Here transactions. Other fees may apply. Shop safe with PayPal.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
Introducing touch-free payments from PayPal, a safe way for your customers to pay. Simply download the PayPal app and display your own unique QR code for your customers to scan. Whether you're a market seller,
I'll take 2 tomatoes and a cucumber,
poodle pamperer, piano tuner, or plumber. Signing up to accept touch-free payments for your business is easy. Touch-free QR code payments. Not applicable to PayPal Here transactions. Other fees may apply. Shop safe with PayPal.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
ChristopherMedia.net. The Weedsman Podcast.
Did you see Connecticut's trying to legalize weed through their legislature?
I did see something about Connecticut. Is that what they're doing? They're going the legislature route?
Trying that again. A bill that would legalize recreational marijuana and erase the criminal records of people who have committed low-level drug offenses cleared a key committee Monday over the objections of lawmakers who feared the change will make it easier for children to get the drug. Of course, the children. So I guess that means it's in the Connecticut House.
In Connecticut, Maryland is now set like a hard deadline. I don't really...
I saw that. They said, hey, you got to get your dispensaries open.
Right.
Shit or get off the pot.
Yeah. Yuck 'em up. Very, very funny, Baltimore son. But it's kind of weird because usually we see, first of all, a demand from the people to have them open up as soon as possible. You know, our state's a perfect example of kind of slowing it down at least somewhat. But hopefully by this time next year, we'll be able to walk into stores as adults.
Well, remember, part of the legislation is they have to start issuing licenses by this November or by the first week of next December of this December. But a year after it goes into effect, they have to have licenses being issued. So I mean, it's April, it's halfway over.
Yeah,
let's go.
I mean, if a company,
I'm good till 2020, but still.
If a company has their shit together enough to know that they are going to get approved for some reason, or just have the confidence, they could have everything up and running. But I think really you tackle the license first, and then you act on the rest of your business plan. It's not like tomorrow you harvest the plants.
Thanks for listening to our own podcast. But we got to myself. We got to wait for that committee to go away, right?
I think we're on the tail end of that being dissolved, right?
I think it's going to be at the end of this month.
It was 2 months from when we talked about it.
I think May that committee goes away, and then they can finally go, all right.
Yeah. But the other thing, and then we've talked about this too, the other hurdle.
We got those squares out of here. Let's get moving.
If they want to make drastic changes to the advancement of this plan, that's going to go against the language that was in the voter mandate, and therefore would take a supermajority of representatives to get passed. 75% of the legislature in Michigan would have to vote yes on this if they wanted to fast track it.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but I didn't mean to get off on that tangent because I was only using that as an example of what we usually see in the struggles for legal cannabis. In Maryland's case, they're setting a deadline for when these medical cannabis dispensaries have to be open, or else they're losing their license.
Damn. Maryland's going, let's go, or pulling the license.
What could possibly stop, I don't know, Joy Strand, who is the commission, the Maryland Medical Cannabis Commission, the director, says we want to encourage everyone to get open as soon as possible. She must have...
and it's got to be so weird because they surround D.C., so how does that work? Like if you live in DC, can you just walk in? No.
Well, you have DC is essentially decriminalized. They didn't pass a law with the intention of decriminalization. They passed what they thought would be a legalization of recreational that was then hobbled by the federal government. And so now they're in this decriminalization limbo. So that means they can go get their shit from... If they can get a cannabis card in Maryland or get somebody to get it from, then yeah, a ton of that is going to just flood into D.C.
Maybe that's why Maryland's like, come on, let's go. We can make all this money off these people from D.C. Let's go, people. We gave you your licenses. Let's move it.
Leah Heiss, Chief Experience Officer for Mission, the Arizona-based company, it's one of the companies that's opening a dispensary, has 2 other dispensaries still in the pre-approval phase, citing zoning as one of, and costs as another, as 2 of the things that they have to overcome. Also saying that partnerships have fallen apart when investors learn they might not be able to achieve the coveted vertical integration, meaning possessing both the license to grow and process and then sell. So I guess it's like a triptych. There's 3 parts to it. You know, if you can come in and own a license to grow, process, and sell, then you control that whole process. You control your costs across the line. And that's not what they're doing in Maryland. So people are coming in thinking they can do that. They can have a whole operation from seed to sale. And Maryland's telling them no, and so they're losing a little bit of their early investors. Which, I mean, I don't know. I think from a business perspective and from the average citizen, I think I'm for that. You know, I mean, we see a lot more vertical integration than we used to. And some of that's kind of like a lot of this is like store brand stuff, but it's all coming from the same factory and they just slap a different label on it, right? But yeah, in general, that's not a competitive business, right? For example, Comcast owns rights to content that you want to watch. Comcast owns the cables that takes it to your house.
Yes.
And the box that receives it.
Yes.
That is vertical integration.
Through.
And the internet that it now has to travel through, right? So that's even more ways that they are vertically integrated. What has that done to cable costs? It's made them skyrocket because you've had these small monopolies operating regionally. Not small monopolies, but they're operating their own regional monopolies because you have physical restrictions based on where cables can go or how expensive it is to get them out there. So satellite disrupts that a little bit, but ultimately what you want is every level of that to be as competitive as anything else, because anytime you remove any element of competitiveness, you have rising end cost. There's no other way, right? Mm-hmm. It's like signing your own check. If you can sign your own check to yourself and have zero accountability for that.
Oh, I'm getting $1 million check.
I'm getting it tomorrow. I'm buying that fucking island.
Yeah. Dude,
right?
Going to that website. Oh.
That's why. That's
we could start. We go high to low. It's
like the podcast math. Like, start your own podcast, be your own boss, write your own check, buy island. The step 3 is the question mark.
I don't get it. Spells 1, collect underpants.
Yeah. Question mark.
Profit.
Yeah.
I get it. No, you don't, fat ass.
Exactly.
While we're in that region, you know, we've talked a lot about New York recently, and they're definitely not getting any forward movement on this until next year. But in the meantime, for that stuff that's on the black market in New York, look out for fentanyl-laced marijuana.
Yay!
And there you go.
With the upstate.
And I love this story. You know why I love this story? Not because I like fentanyl or think it's a good idea to put it on your marijuana or smoke it in that fashion. It's probably not. And maybe these are isolated cases, and maybe this is just one freak occurrence. Maybe this is something people are really into. Very rarely are these things like, oh, I laced it with something and they didn't even know, right? Because we've talked about this. It's the cost. You're just then giving away drugs. That's not what a drug dealer do. Drug dealers don't do 2 things. They don't give away drugs and they don't advertise. Mm-hmm. They might give away drugs to their friends, but also be careful when your drug dealer is giving you drugs, honestly.
Yeah.
You know, they give you a discount, that's one thing. If they're giving it to you for free, maybe they want something else.
Maybe it's, you know, you just learn let's not go into business with this person.
Right, so fentanyl-laced marijuana joints. Why do I like this? Because it's exactly the type of headlines that you idiots deserve by being too afraid to touch this. Being so proud of your new squeaky clean, quote-unquote, city that you've just now cleaned up that you can't have it dirtied with the smell of marijuana. And now that smelly marijuana is fentanyl-laced, which I'm imagining can kill you all the same no matter how you ingest it.
You know who doesn't have fentanyl-laced marijuana? Dispensaries.
I don't hear that shit happen in Michigan.
No, because it doesn't.
We've had a legitimate decade-old medical marijuana program.
The worst thing that's happened so far is there was mold in some weed and they had to recall it.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And even then, that's just gross. You can't even really prove that shit would kill you. You probably just burn up all the mold. So, oh yeah, and also moving our way down south, closer to Virginia, they haven't decriminalized it like New Mexico did, where it was actually passed by the legislature. But when your chief prosecutor says, I'm not going to prosecute cases for possession, then that's even better.
Have they checked this guy's yearbook?
I shouldn't say better because it's not a permanent solution. You could have a new, chief prosecutor, state's prosecutor, or whatever they call him, or
have we
state's
checked
attorney.
this guy's yearbook?
Oh, that's right. Good point.
Has he been in a Michael Jackson moonwalk contest?
Actually, Stephanie Morales, so there's a need for decriminalization and restorative justice. Says their office's limited resources could be better spent on violent crime.
Hear, hear. Why are we wasting time on these two stoners who we caught with a bag at 1:30 in the morning last night? Here's your ticket. Let's move on.
Hey, speaking of these two stoners, I wanted to end on this story. Forbes had a story that says, the headline is, "The marijuana charade is over. It's time to start selling weed to broke stoners again."
Huh?
The cannabis industry has spent the past few years trying to convince the average American that today's marijuana user is no longer the long-haired hippie weirdo standing on the sidelines of the social norm. It has, however, done its best to paint a portrait of a wealthy, upstanding citizen of discriminating taste, with more money than the Rockefellers to spend on as much high-priced weed as the green thumb gods can pull out of the ground. The author of this story goes on in length to paint this picture of how we've repackaged cannabis, and I'm not disagreeing with this premise. He's right, but that's just advertising, right?
Yeah.
Like, everybody gets that. We understand.
People with money want to get high.
And people without money want to get high too. And they're going to find the weed that suits their price point. Look, when you show a Walmart commercial, you don't show the woman with her thong hanging out sitting on the fucking scooter.
Right.
Right?
You don't. Who's 250.
You show the attractive young couple with the child in the basket or what have you. This is TV and advertising. It's not real.
Walmart does not put their regular customers in the commercials.
They say
they want people to go there.
What about the burnout types? Those red-eyed cruisers from back in high school.
They're still fucking there.
Who always reeked of weed and slept their way into mediocrity. How about the ones who dropped out of high school as soon as they turned 16 and went on to get crap jobs so that they can continue buying weed, Rush Records, and Taco Bell? How about the average dude who did graduate from high school, but rather than go on to do something extraordinary, he got a job at a factory and became a working class stiff? How about fuck you and your fucking pretentious asshole?
Fuck you. I was just at a dispensary today where every gram was on sale for $5. All of these people were there. All of these people were there.
He wants to go back to these stereotypes. Like, yes, look, people are going to flake out of stuff of life, school, work, whatever. Or they're not always going to achieve the best things that they can. They're not always going to be their best person. And a lot of people are going to smoke weed. Those two don't fucking correlate, is what these new commercials are trying to tell you.
Today's strain was bought on the advice. Well, one of the advice of one of the people of a 40-year-old man with a mohawk and a pencil in his ear. I wonder why he had the pencil in his ear.
Right, there you go.
At no point.
And you know what?
We need a pencil.
I bet you trusted his opinion.
Sorta. It really wasn't. Well, actually, kinda, because when I get up to the counter, it is April 14th. He's already at his monthly limit for that dispensary.
Oh.
Again, on April 14th.
That's pretty high.
He is at his monthly limit. And then,
wow.
But then too, completely unrelated.
Or he's selling.
I'm there going like, man, I can get whatever I want today. Everything's $5. Completely unrelated. Girl rolls up to the bud tender next to me. First thing she asked for is the strain that I got. I was like, well, I had to sign. Two unrelated people have brought up this Because he's in the lobby going, get this shit, man. This shit's the real shit. All that other shit is bullshit. Like I said, he looked kind of sketchy. Like maybe he does a little bit more weed. Just say again, 40 years old with a mohawk.
Still, though, are you saying you can't trust his opinion on drugs?
True. Just getting this guy fucked up. Yeah, that's. But yeah, and again, monthly limit on weed. Not even halfway through it. I heard the bartender. They're like, we can't give you any more for today. He's like, oh, all right. They're like, but we can't give you any more till May 1st. He's like, what do you mean? It's like, you're at your limit. He's like, yeah, for the day. She's like, no, for the month. Dude, you get like 2 ounces a day.
Yeah. We're halfway through.
You're allowed 2 ounces a day. You told me this guy has bought 60 ounces of weed by April 14th. Somebody's drug trafficking.
So the Mohawk guy was the guy that was run his limit. And I thought the bud tender was the guy with the Mohawk because you said
no, he was in the lobby just telling everyone who would listen to get this strain.
But that's what you started. Is you said that the guy that recommended the strain.
Yes, he's his customer. He's a rando, but he's in the lobby telling anybody who would listen to get this strain because everything was $5 a gram today.
Right, get this strain because that's my top seller, and if you can't get it here, I'll be in the parking lot.
Right? Because I've already bought 60 ounces of weed in 14 days.
Actually, what that guy was more likely to be doing there is saying, get the shit that he doesn't want to buy. Right? Why would he be telling everybody what he thinks is good when he's obviously buying in enough quantities that he's selling it?
Now think about it, might be 2.5.
2.5 ounces a day.
This motherfucker's gone through 75 ounces. Dude, yeah, you're selling weed, dude.
Like, Snoop does that, right?
You're selling weed, dude. 75 ounces in
who could go through that much?
No, he's selling it. I don't think it's physically possible.
Like Willie Nelson's tour bus might go through that in a day.
No.
But even then, I doubt they'd get a show done.
No, because that's 4 2/3 pounds of weed. No way.
4 2/3 pounds. You said it was 2.5 ounces a day, right?
Yeah, that's 75 ounces. A pound
over
is
the course
16
of,
ounces.
You're adding this up over the course of 2 weeks?
I'm saying for April,
yes,
you're allowed 75 ounces.
Right. No, I was just breaking it down on per day consumption.
Well, I'm just...
Either way you slice it, he would have to be...
And I'm just buying it by 16. He's gone through like 4 2/3 pounds of weed.
Oh, wait a minute. If he's ran his monthly limit...
That's what I'm saying.
By the time he's halfway through...
You bought 4 pounds of weed in 2 weeks, bro? You are selling weed.
He's actually going through 5 ounces a day.
Yeah, he's selling weed.
Because if he was getting it at 2.5 ounces a day,
he either rolls nothing.
He would have lasted a whole month.
Blunts that are the size of your fucking Arizona can, or he's selling weed. Like I exclusively smoke hollowed out 1 foot blunts.
And the fact that this is the strung out looking guy with the mohawk.
Yes.
Like, not only are you going to blatantly...
Definitely in his 40s, or he's just partied a lot to be in his 30s.
Not only are you blatantly doing this, but you're not trying to go under the radar either.
Oh, I was saying, should probably talk about this strain.
Oh.
We're jump right to the end? Right in freeze frame?
Hey, fuck this strain. All right, fine. What's your strain?
What's the strain? Chem Scout.
Flip it back over there.
Recommended by the guy with the mohawk and a random chick next to me who came up and said, give me a gram of that.
Good drug users know. Well, not even good drug users. Just guys who look strung out know good drugs.
Yeah, right. If a guy who's looking like, drugs are a hobby...
Yeah, I wouldn't
telling you get this shit.
I wouldn't actually call that a good drug user. The good drug users are the ones who manage to still get other shit done. This is a poor drug user. But still, I think no less a trusted source.
Yeah. Yes, recommended by the... And again, why do you have the pencil? He had a pencil in his ear.
No, not like... tucked behind his ear like I'm a writer, or literally through the earlobe like I'm...
No, like tucked behind his ear like I'm a fucking writer.
Oh. See, I thought you meant that he had it stuck through his ear like punk rock style because you said he had a mohawk, and I was like, oh,
No,
yeah.
like in his ear, like...
And he had a, paper clip and a rubber band hanging out the other side. He was like Captain Lou Albano got in fighting in Office Max.
Yeah, no, nothing like that. But Chem Scout, bred by IC Collective, is an indica dominant strain that took first place in the 2014 High Times Cannabis Cup in San Francisco. This cross between Chem Dog 91 and Girl Scout cookies delivers a blast of cerebral euphoria that tapers into full body relaxation with time. Makes you feel relaxed, sleepy, tingly, hungry, and uplifted. Medically, it's good for the stress, pain, make you hungry. It's good for the nausea, the insomnia. Negatives are dry mouth, of course. Many times throughout the show.
Yeah.
Make you dizzy, dry
Testify to
eyes,
that.
headache, and a tiny bit paranoid. Again, recommended by the crazy guy with the mohawk and the pencil in his ear.
Not in his ear. If you say mohawk and pencil in his ear, I think everyone's going to think that it's literally through his ear.
Well, how else do you say that? Pencil behind his ear?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, you don't. If you say the librarian had a pencil in her ear, like not in her ear, I would think like, why was she scratching the inside of her ear with a pencil?
Yeah.
Say behind the ear.
Aha.
Then it's like it's there for easy access, and I'm all about the easy access.
We're supposed to say happy 420. This show posted the day before 420.
Oh shit!
But next week's going to be like our 5th anniversary show. It'll be like the day after 420. Whatever. We won't. Hey, welcome.
We have our 5-year anniversary.
I know, right? It's a quick half a decade. Hey, welcome to you if you found us listening to Spreaker. They have decided...
Spreaker?
Yes.
With an R in there.
Yes.
Spreaker.
They have decided that they like what we do over here at Christopher Media, and they want to help grow our audience.
Oh, well, great.
So if you have found us listening to them, welcome. If you'd like to tell somebody, share it, all that fun shit. We're on Twitter. That's Louisa420. And email us at LouisaPodcast, ChristopherMedia.net. Check us out Tuesdays, Fridays-ish. And stay high.
Stay high.
The Weedsman Podcast. ChristopherMedia.net.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
It's a new year, and with T-Mobile, it's not about how far apart we are. It's about how close we can be. So we're bringing out our best deal. Right now, get the iPhone 12 on us on every single plan with eligible iPhone trade-in.
So I can FaceTime with my sister in Savannah.
That's right, the iPhone 12 on us on every plan. All on America's 5G leader in coverage. T-Mobile.
With 24 monthly bill credits and a new line plus tax. If you cancel, credit stop and balance on required finance agreement may be due. Contact us for well-qualified buyers. Qualifying consumer plan required. See coverage and offer details at T-Mobile.com.
ChristopherMedia.net. If you like this show, please tell a friend. Please make sure to rate and comment on all your favorite Christopher Media shows. Please follow us on Twitter and like and share us on Facebook. You can subscribe to all ChristopherMedia.net shows for free on ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for listening, and thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net. Thank you for visiting ChristopherMedia.net.